Hey crafters, today we are going to make a buckle card. This is so cute. You have this little flap that just opens up. So easy to create. And the little opening is right under this beautiful image that you put on top. Let's do this. The first thing you're going to need is a piece of cardstock that is 9 3/4 by 4 1/4. But I want to remind you, all the measurements are going to be listed over on creativemomentsbyg.com, so you don't have to write them down. So bring in your trimmer and let's go ahead and give this a score line. And our score line is going to be at 5 1/2. So make sure that you move this cutting blade out of the way and give it a good score. Now take it out, bring in your bone folder, and we are going to put the large side that has our score line right here to the right, and we're just going to take it and fold it to the right. Now make sure it's lined up and then give it a good crease. And now we have our base. All we have to do is decorate it and cut out our opening right here. So we have used for our paper this beautiful autumn tulle. Remember what we always say, if you don't have that, use what you have. But we've decided to bring in that beautiful plaid paper, and we're going to make it pop by using real red cardstock beneath it. And that's going to go right on this front flap. So let's go ahead and open it up. Makes it easier to manage it and to get our margins the way we need them. So let's go ahead and just lay that down. This is a quick and easy card, but you may want to make your Christmas cards using this because it's so cute. Now we're going to make 2 Christmas cards with you, but make sure you stay with us because we have 4 all occasion cards to show you. Now we're going to go ahead and take this piece of patterned paper and lay it down right on top. Now here is the front of our card. The next thing we want to do is create our flap on the inside. And what we have done is we have cut a strip of real red and then some of that patterned paper that came from the packet that I showed you. We're just going to add this right here. But before we do that, we went ahead and we cut our buckle flap. Now this is just 5 by 2 and then we scored it at 1. But look at what we did. Because this is a Christmas design, we went ahead and we used a 3D embossing folder that has those beautiful evergreen leaves on it. Now the reason we want to lay this down first is we're going to put our strip over it. So all we need to do is go ahead, and because I want to wiggle, I'm going to go ahead and put glue. Now you could put some tape from a tape runner, not to worry. Now we want to line this up right in the center. So notice how I'm putting it, making sure that I have the same margin top to bottom pretty much. And I'm lining it up right on the outside of this card. Now, so we don't get glue everywhere, we're just going to slide in our silicone mat. And we're just going to make sure this is exactly where we want it. And we're just going to push down. Use our dancing fingers to push down and make sure it is lined up with this outside. Okay, once we have that, let's go ahead and take our strips. Now our strips are 4 by 1 and 3 3/4 by 3/4. We're just going to move that. Add our strip. Now this particular piece of patterned paper came from Traditions of Christmas. Look at that paper. We're going to use that for our next card. So that glue allows me to wiggle just a little bit, which is so important for us that it doesn't grab right away, just in case I don't have it lined up perfectly. Now we're just going to get that right there. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back side, not a lot. You don't want it to wiggle too much. Bring this back in and we're going to line it up. Now we want to make sure that our margins are the same, top to bottom and on the right. So that looks good. Now I'm just going to push down. Now you will see why we wanted this flap before we cut our opening. We're just going to move that to the side. I'm going to show you a little trick. Go ahead and put a mark right above and below, and that's just going to be a guide for you. We're going to erase that later, so don't worry. Just putting it right there. Okay. So we have our guide marks right here. Now, this is the punch I'm using, but this is a retired punch. If you have something similar, great. But if you don't, go ahead and grab your rectangle dies and find a skinny rectangle just like this. That works just as well. And you would just line this up right where you put your guide. You could line it up right there. You know it's in the right place. And go ahead and just cut it out. And that works perfectly. But we have this punch. You may have this punch too. So what we're going to do is slip it in, and we're going to use those pencil marks. Now, this particular punch you can slip in all the way. Like I said, if you don't have it though, you don't need it. Don't worry about it. Use your dies. Remember those marks we put? That just helps us line it up right at the top. So I'm going to find the mark. You can't see it, but there's a mark right there. I'm going to line it up with that point, and then I'll know I'm in the right place. And I'm going to punch. I'm going to take it out, and it slips right in. Look at that, just perfectly. Now remember, if you don't have that punch, not to worry. Find a die that fits just like this, and you can run it through your machine. Now, another tip, because this has several layers on it, you might need to run it through twice. The next thing we want to do is, do you need to decorate this? If you used cardstock that is a colored cardstock, you might need to go ahead and put a mat. And the mat on the inside, if you need to do that, would be 4 by 4. It's just a square. And so you could add that. I'm not going to add anything because I have a white background, but I am going to stamp. So I'm going to bring in my Night of Navy, and I'm going to stamp Merry Christmas. I'm just going to put it right at the bottom. That way you have plenty of room to write at the top. And look at how pretty that is. The next thing we need to do is decorate the front. Now let me show you what I've done. I took this stamp set because I wanted to use this beautiful decoration here of poinsettias and flowers. And this is Christmas greenery. But remember, all the supplies and materials and measurements are listed over on our blog. I went ahead and I colored it using some blends. I used Real Red, Daffodil Delight, Old Olive, and Pecan Pie just to give this some color and make it pop. And I also found a die so that I could put my beautiful image on top of it. And we are going to just lay this right here just to cover up that hole. But let's go ahead and do that. Now I am going to set this up on dimensionals right on top of this. So let's do that. Okay, we're going to set it just like this. Look at that. just makes it pop. Now, when you go to set this on the front of your card, you want to make sure that you only put dimensionals right here on the side, right before this. You don't want to get any dimensionals after that. So there's two different ways you can do that. We know that it's going to go to about right here, so you can just add your dimensionals right here, which I think is a good way to do it, because that way you know you get it in the right place. And you don't go over, you don't want to cover up that hole. So let's go ahead and just do that. I'm just going to add a few dimensionals just to make sure it has stability and is really strong. Take the backing off. And I'm just going to set this just exactly where it needs to be. Before I lay it down, I'm going to make sure it's centered right there on the flap. And it is. And there we have it. Now look at this. How easy was that to put together? Now to slip this in, you just kind of curve this a little bit and it goes right into that opening. And there we have a buckle card. Look at how pretty that is. We have that outside covering. You just to open it up, unfold it. What do you think about this card? Take a moment and let us know. What do you think? I love the colors. I love the masculine colors. Of course, you can make it pop even more. Let's go ahead and make our second card. Now, remember what I said. You need your cardstock to be 9 3/4 by 4 1/4, and you score at 5 1/2. We went ahead once again and we used this beautiful paper called Traditions of Christmas. Look at that, so pretty. We cut our squares to go right on the top and we added some gold paper. So we're going to go ahead and bring in our silicone mat. We're going to lay this down. Making sure that our margins top to bottom, side to side are about the same. We're going to put this one down. Now be mindful if you have directional paper, try to get it going the right way, right? Okay, so we have that. The next thing we want to do before we cut our opening is we want to go ahead and get our inside done. Look what we did. We used one of those flowers out of the pattern paper and just cut it out. That is always a great way to use your pattern paper. We will be putting this right here, but on the side, look at this. We're using gold and we use that embossing folder again. We're just going to lay that down. Now on this one, I'm going to go ahead and use tape runner just to show you that you can use tape runner. You just have to be very careful when you lay it down because you won't have an opportunity to fix it. So you know about what you need on the side and at the top. So go ahead and just get it straight the first time and make sure that you lay it down in sections. And there you have it. You just have to be very careful with tape runners because they are not forgiving. They stick. But that is kind of nice. Now, the next thing we did is we cut our buckle flap. And our buckle flap is, remember, 5 by 2 and we scored it at 1. So this time we're going to go ahead and use our tape runner and keep our fingers crossed that we can do it right. So we're just going to put some tape on it. We're going to turn it over and make sure that we're right in the center, right where we want it, because it's hard to lift up. Now, if you make a mistake, you can always bring in your heat gun and you can heat it from the bottom and that will release that glue. But we don't want to take extra time and do that. So here we have it, right where it needs to be. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put this down once again. We're going to use our tape runner just to show you you can do it if that's all you have, not to worry. We're just going to make sure it's lined up right where we need it before we push it down for good. There we have it. And then we're going to add this beautiful, beautiful paper. Look at that. This is very vanilla. Now let's go ahead and stamp our message before we put it down. So tap, tap, tap. Make sure we have enough blue. And we're just going to so let's go ahead and put glue on this one just in case. We might need to wiggle it just a little bit. Oh, look how pretty. Now let's hold that for just a second and it will dry. Now look at that. What do you think? Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Now we have that. We know that we are going to put a little mark right here just to let us know as a guide where we want to line it up. And we will erase it before. Now we didn't erase it on the other one because we had this to go over it and you can't see it. But let's go ahead and bring in our punch. If you don't have a punch, feel free to use your dies. We're going to line it up. I can see the mark right here. So I'm going to line it up with that point until I can't see it. And I know that it's in the right place. Grab my eraser. Love this eraser mono. Does such a good job. And yes, you can use this pencil also does a good job, but doesn't last as long, of course. Now we're just going to bring this in and see how it lines up. Oh, lined up perfectly. Those guide marks are important for you. So the next thing we want to do is bring in our beautiful label that we stamped with Merry Christmas. And we also cut some flowers out. But before I put those on, I want to get this lined up exactly where I need it. So we're going to line that up right there. And I can tell that I need my dimensionals right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on the Designer Series paper. Just a few right there. Take the backing off. And we are going to center this right on our top square, top to bottom, side to side. So it's about right there. Line that up. And now I can see exactly where I want to put my flowers. Look at that. So I'm going to set this one down just with some tape. And now I'm going to set this one up on a dimensional. And look at that. You open it up. It's so beautifully decorated. And now to slip this in, once again we embossed it so that it's not heavy. You just go ahead and lift that up and slip it in. Oh my goodness. Now here are the two cards that we made. Let's go ahead and put a sentiment on this one. I'm going to bring in my mat. That really makes it pop, right? It just needed that little sentiment on it. So look at these cards. Which is your favorite? Oh my goodness, I love these Christmas cards. This one just really pops because of the gold. But remember I said I was going to show you some variations that you can use. Now we created this one back in a Valentine season. So these are all retired products, but I just wanted you to see how we used just a little image right there to go over the opening. You see that? We just lifted it with some dimensionals and then you slide it back in. Now, this is from a new stamp set that you'll be able to get next month. Look at that. You're the best. Oh my goodness. We just emboss this and we put a mat on it. Now when you put a mat on it, it makes it a little harder. So you want to make sure that you don't put the mat all the way down. Go ahead and decorate it with a stamp. Look at that. Because this is what slides in the opening. Then you open it up and look at that. Oh, This is also from that stamp set that you can order next month. Unless, of course, you join our team and you can put that in your starter kit. And finally, look at this one. This is a current stamp that you can use. Look at how pretty that is. We added some gems. You pop it out. And once again, we didn't add anything here because it needs to slip in that opening. So like we didn't add additional leaves. Look at that. And then we let the pattern paper do the work for us. You just kind of lift this up and put it back in the hole. So take a moment, leave a comment. Which is your favorite? Well, thank you so much for spending your time with us. We hope that you enjoyed this buckle card as much as we do. Make sure you check our blog for all the measurements and the supplies. We hope that with this inspiration, earned your like, share, and that you decide to subscribe to our channel. Until next time, Maudie and I wish you lots of creative moments. Bye-bye.